All right, guys, good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Obviously excited with what occurred past Saturday, but as you guys can imagine, our sights and focus have immediately turned to a great Cincinnati team. Our guys are in the right mindset. I feel like we're relatively healthy. As you guys know, the COVID testing is still a day-to-day thing. We were tested again yesterday. From an injury standpoint, we're going to continue to try to move in the right direction. TJ Carter will still be evaluated on a day-to-day basis leading up to Saturday. Other than that, I think where we are in the season, right now we're finding going back and we feel like we're in a groove on things. We'll be back on the practice field tomorrow, but we know we have our hands full come Saturday versus a top 10 ranked opponent. But can't wait to get there.
Evan, first question.
Morning, Ryan.
Morning, Ed.
Obviously, you guys are really familiar with Cincinnati. You had that lovely back-to-back experience last year. How much does that kind of prepare you? Obviously, two different teams, but you've seen Desmond Ridder. You've seen what this defense can do for Cincinnati. How much does that kind of prepare you guys for facing them again in another high-stakes game?
Look, a lot of the deal, as you guys know, right, obviously they're one of the nationally ranked defenses. But if you look, I was watching both of our games first and last year. It's different bodies that we have out there offensively, right? Yes, some of our offensive line face them, and so did our quarterback. But I was sitting there talking to our team about things, and it's a whole new set of skill players. I mean, at one time on the field last year, we had Patrick Taylor, Antonio Gibson, Kenny Gainwell, DeMonte Coxey, amongst others, right? And none of the guys on this roster now. So it's a different feel for it. But they're still a fantastic defense. Like you mentioned, they got their quarterback coming back who's playing at a great level. Their offensive line's big and strong. They got tight ends. There's a reason they're ranked in the top 10. But we're excited. We know that we have had the fortune of beating them in the past. Obviously, they were a different team. We were a different team. We know the challenges, but I do think, our quarterback has a little comfort having known that he has seen that defense in the past. Obviously, they've added some wrinkles.
With Desmond Ridder, too, I know you guys face Bouchel and he can move a little bit. Ridder is obviously more mobile. What challenges does he kind of present this time around? Obviously, he was coming off an injury last in the AAC Championship game, but specifically for this defense, you haven't faced a quarterback moving like him. So what challenges does he present this year?
Yeah, as we're going to continue to try to fix things up in the back end, right? Not allowing big plays, explosive plays, shots on our defensive backs, right? But we also have to be cognizant of a mobile quarterback. So sometimes that's where, which we haven't seen as much this year, is right, quarterbacks being able to move around and buying time, and then it allows the receivers more time to get open down the field. So that's going to be a new issue, if you will, or something else we need to work on. Moving forward, because you're right, most of these quarterbacks we've played have been more pocket passing type. Obviously, like you said, Shane Bouchel can move around a little bit, but this brings a different dynamic to their offense. And look, we've got to be prepared as a defense for everything they can throw at us.
Steven?
Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
Good, Steven. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing all right. I know you probably want to try to take a one game at a time approach, but obviously you guys have goals like repeating as conference champs. So how do you balance between the messaging of letting the players know what's at stake this game while not putting too much pressure on them in a sense?
Yeah, I think they already know what's at stake. I don't even talk about conference championships, especially this year, given everything that's occurring. It literally is turned into a one day at a time. Even today, right? They're off practice, but just making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to academically. And I think that approach is best for this group that we currently have right now. I did mention to them that, look, this is a nationally ranked team that we're playing. They're a top 10 team for a reason, and we shouldn't prepare any different than we do any other week. But, that hopefully that gives a little bit of heightened sense of where we need to continue to head as our own football program. But, look, we win this game, it will continue to put us where we want to be and our long-term goals. But we don't talk about championships right now. We're just literally focused on, having a great week of practice, Stephen. That's not coach speak. And then, preparing for a great Cincinnati opponent.
I was watching them play SMU, and I was just so impressed with the way their defense just kind of flew all over the field. Just for you, what stands out so much about that unit?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason they've got All-American, all-conference players all across the board. I mean, they've got probably so far, and look, we've faced some very good opponents, but there's arguably the best defensive line in the conference, arguably the best linebacker core in the conference, arguably best secondary. I mean, they've got guys, they're going to try to play you man coverage because they feel like they got better players than you, and they're going to allow their defense line to get after it. They play with that monster safety that come down and fill the box and the void in the run game when they need to. You go back and look over the years, it's not like a lot of teams have had success. In fact, I even went back and watched the Ohio State game versus them last year. And I mean, they held Ohio State in check for a lot of the game and made some negative tackles. Even our game last year, I mean, both of our games, right? Antonio Gibson, some of our longer runs were, broken tackles by Antonio Gibson, Kenny Gamble getting on the edge. So some of those things we're going to have to execute at a very, very high level in order to have success as an offense versus this wonderful defense.
Terry?
What's up, Coach?
Terry, how are you?
I'm doing well. For this season had put you through a lot of adversity with opt-outs and injuries. Sometimes you expect your guys to do well, the replacements come in, but sometimes reality actually sets in. How pleased are you with the way your guys actually, perform, as replacements, including Owens and all the other players who might not be named players?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with them. I mean, so much credit goes to our players, right? As a coaching staff, it's our job to trail through this adversity and bring our guys along. But they've been, like I've said all along, I've been using the word steadfast. They've been awesome. And these young guys have stepped up, guys that we didn't expect. If we had these conversations this summer that we wouldn't have expected to have such contributions this season are doing so in such a great manner. And they're working really hard. They're taking a lot of pride, kind of in knowing, hey, look, we're without some people and it's next man up mentality. So I'm quite pleased with everybody, the work ethic of this team, the belief of this team. Like I said, every day is a battle, right? We got to continue to bring guys in the right direction. It doesn't matter if you win games, lose games. It's just keeping everybody on the same page moving forward. But very happy, and we're going to look. This is a long season, and we're going to need more guys to continue to step up. I talked to our young guys, the non-travel squad, last night, and just said, "Hey, look, there's going to be a time where some of you guys are going to step up and play in these games, and just continue to prepare yourself the right way, even if you are on scout team currently."
Anthony?
Morning, Coach. How's it going?
Good, Anthony. Good morning. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Your former players, several of them had a good day yesterday. And I'm sure, seeing guys like Jannard Avery get sacks on quarterback and Antonio Gibson and Pollard have these breakout runs, that's a great thing that you can use when recruiting players. How do you use your former players' success on Sundays for your current roster that you have for motivation and preparation?
Yeah, that's a great point. You're absolutely right. We use it a ton in recruiting, right? I mean, if you're a running back, why the heck wouldn't you want to come to Memphis? I mean, that's a great sell, and we do it a lot in recruiting. But we publicize that and all that stuff. But we do talk about their success because a lot of our guys know, hey, maybe I can get to that point right now. Obviously, this is an interesting season. But those guys that have that NFL carrot in front of them that say, man, I have that opportunity to play at the next level, they see that success, and I think it's enticing to them. I'm not sure how many guys currently right now that will be entering this next year's draft class have the option or the opportunity to get drafted. But you guys look like guys like Bryce Huff, who wasn't drafted, who had a big impact yesterday. I think it just gives everybody the chance to continue to believe. I always tell them we're playing for ourselves right now and our team. But obviously I want them all to have success in the NFL and have that opportunity. And it's one of those things the other day I actually even showed them some NFL film and just kind of show them, hey, this is the success of some of our Tigers are having. I think that's important. And I know they're proud. Look, a lot of these guys were in our locker room with us last year. So it's just nice when it's even closer to home.
Thank you.
Jesse?
Morning, Coach. Another career day for Calvin Austin. What's the next step you want to see him take to keep elevating his game?
Ball security. owning the football. I've talked to him about it. The sixth play of the game, even on his long catch and run, the ball didn't look like it was tightly secured. And so that's the number one thing I've talked to him about. And everyone probably says, well, he's fast and doing it. I don't care. If he doesn't own the football, it's going to be hard to play football here. And so I'm literally on his tail about that. So that's as he continues to improve as a football player, ball security, right? And he's also our starting punt returner. So I think it's going to be one of those things. And I think most people around practice will hear me yelling about owning the football, especially given the fact that we've played 3 games and haven't been able to do so. So it's going to be important. It's going to be important week in and week out. But for Calvin, he's done a fantastic job. He's going to continue to get crisper in his routes. The timing with Brady, the more those two meet, I think we're going to both see them. His game is going to continue to elevate, and that's a nice thing, Cassie, because I think the sky's the limit for him.
Mark?
Hey, Ryan. When you went back and looked at the film of what the defense did against Temple, I know they gave up 500 yards, but did you come away encouraged by the performance? How would you evaluate what you saw out of the defense on Saturday?
Yeah, Mark, I saw a lot of good things. I was encouraged. I think that's a good word to use because, yes, you can look at the yardage, but like I said, they got 4 takeaways. I mean, and that I can live with 4 takeaways and giving up yards because at the end of the day, that's ultimately all that matters. Getting the ball back, finding ways to come up with key stops when they were crucial, 4 sacks. We did have some things, right, where they made better plays than we did, and we're going to continue to look at what we got to do, where we got to get missed tackles and those things. I think every mistake that occurred, Mark, was correctable. And that's huge, right? If I looked back and said, man, we don't have the cats. We're not calling the game right. I think everything that are mistakes are fixable. And that's a nice thing. So it certainly was encouraging. And I truly believe, right, week in and week out, our defense is going to continue to get better as they play together in this new scheme.
And then 2 players I want to ask you about real quick. I know you mentioned TJ at the beginning. We haven't seen Sanchez Blake out there. Is there any update on him?
Yeah, Sanchez Blake played in the game.
Oh, he did? Oh, okay, I just missed him.
He played at safety, and I think he's started on 3 units at special teams as well.
Okay, I just missed him. And then JoJo Dorcius was dressed but didn't play very much or at all. Any comment on that?
Yeah, it was just a decision that I came to that he wouldn't he'd be limited his playing time.
Yep. Is it discipline related or
personal reasons? Yeah.
Personal reasons. Gotcha.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ryan?
Hey, Coach. According to Pro Football Focus, Dylan Parham had his highest graded game of his Memphis career. If you could talk about his progression, as an offensive lineman, because I think he's only allowed 1 QB, pressure this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about Dylan for a long time, right? He's a guy, and I mentioned this last week, came here as a tight end. They said he wasn't good enough, moved to D-line, said he wasn't good enough, and I was thrilled to take him. 2-year starter at left guard, and really just such a high ceiling. Got some reps at center this offseason, just kind of working. Obviously, we weren't in practices, but even some in training camp. And then was able to bump over to right tackle. Has done a fantastic job. Dylan's so athletic. He's really smart. He's still learning to pass that. Remember, a guy that had never been in an offensive line stance was playing left guard, and now all of a sudden you move him to right tackle. So now you got to flip your brain, understand where you have to have your weight distribution, which hands to punch with, the timing of everything. And really, it's not like he had an entire spring to learn that. I mean, he was kind of thrown into the mix later in training camp, actually. And so just really pleased with his development. I think he's playing at an all-conference level. He's athletic. He's strong. He's got all the features you want. He is not a 6'7" like Obina. Dylan's probably legit maybe 6'3", but has the foot speed like a Trayvon Tate that had success here with the strength of a Roger Joseph. You combine it together, and I think, he's going to see, he's another guy that every week he's going to continue to get better and better.
Terry?
Hey, Coach, I know you said it's a totally different personnel from Cincinnati this year, last year, but they still remember what happened last year, and they're going to come out energized and whatever. How are you going to make sure that your guys come out and get the quick starts you've been getting in the last few games?
Yeah, I don't. I like I always say, I will never doubt our guys' motivation or energy, and that starts with me to make sure that our guys are playing hard and doing what they're supposed to. But I think our guys understand what's at stake. You know, to kind of answer back that question, you know, that do we sit here and talk about what occurred in the past? No, but they understand. Look, this is a lot of chips are on the table for this one. This is a big game, ESPN game again, another morning start, which we're excited about, and getting rolling. Wake up and go play football. And I think our guys will be up for that challenge. Look, I'm sure Cincinnati. We always say this is probably a game they had circled on their calendar, right? You know, if you're them and I'm them, it's probably up in their weight room. You know, this game circled the Memphis logo somewhere on there because I'm sure their kids are pissed off and rightfully so. But like I said, we feel like we're a different team. So our focus is just, hey, this is our next opponent. But we do know what's at stake, and I think our guys will be ready to roll.
Evan?
Kind of on that note, Cincinnati announced today that there will not be fans. There will only be family members for players and coaches. So for you guys, obviously the season opener was a small crowd, but how do you kind of reinforce what you talked about in fall camp about not just creating your own energy, but preparing for literally no fans in there, which you haven't really seen this season yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to I do need to talk to him about it, right? We did mention it in our team meeting yesterday that it's going to be no fans, right? And I think that's, you know, you don't want to take the air out of the bubble saying, man, because I'm sure they would probably like a little bit of a crowd, right? Rather than the pumped in airplane crowd noise that occurs at some of these stadiums now. But I think, you know, we got to prepare for it this week. Probably, I'm sure at some point during practice, I'll shut off the music just to get them used to being the silence and kind of prepare for, you know, normally when we land at a place, Evan, we're able to go and see the stadium and do what we call a victory walk. They're not allowing us to, given I guess they have a professional soccer game this week. I have not checked the schedule, but I'm sure that's what's occurring. So they're not allowing us on the field on Friday because they said they're painting it. So, you know, for the first time before we take off, I'm literally going to have to show our team pictures of the stadium just because I want them to visualize instead of being able to stretch and do some ball drills out in their stadium. We're going to have to do it in probably the parking lot of the hotel. So just kind of one of those things. We know it's going to be a different type of trip, but it's going to be a hard hat game, fans or no fans, and let's roll.
Anthony?
Coach, Quintez Johnson, just a little bit about his progression from last year up until this point of the season so far.
Yeah, Quintez is one of the smartest young men I've ever known. He's a chance I had the opportunity to recruit him some in high school. He was at high school as Titus Jones, so I found myself at the school as much as I could. An offensive lineman on our roster, obviously his brother Kendall, his twin brothers on the roster as well. But Quintez himself is having a fantastic year. I think he's kind of finding himself. And last year we saw him get in the mix just here or there and some on special teams, but now he's really taking ownership of being a starting safety. He understands his defense and because of his intelligence. Look, he's got wonderful athletic ability. I'm not taking anything away from that, but his intelligence, the way he studies the game has put him at playing at an upper echelon level. And that's what's really great to see. He's a leader. He cares about it. He cares about this program. And so I think you tie all those things in together along with him getting, becoming more physical, be able to run a little bit faster. I think you combine all those things, and that's what's allowed him to have success so far this season. And guess what? He's got a lot of work to continue to do, and he knows that. And he's the first one to criticize himself and saying, hey, I could have done this here. I missed that tackle there. And that's what you love is these players. He's got a coach me, coach mentality, right? Some of these guys, when we win, they don't want to hear it. And when they lose, it's woe is me. And he is even keel and says, okay, keep giving me more, keep giving me more, and he's all in with everything we're doing.
Thank you.